Greetings at Cheating Story Lab. Share your location below. Today's narrative revolves around the realization that the one who says, "I do," might instead be plotting to deceive you. I, David, have had personal experiences that taught me swiftly that love and money can unveil a person's true nature more quickly than anything else in this world. 3 years ago, I was 29, working in construction management, residing comfortably in an apartment, and planning to marry who I thought was the one, Olivia. She was indeed attractive, driven, and successful, serving as a marketing director at a tech startup, owning a BMW, and living in a downtown condo. On the surface, we seemed like the ideal pair. However, Olivia was unaware that my wealth was not self-made. I inherited a trust fund of approximately $3.2 million from an old manufacturing empire built by my grandfather. Yet, there were conditions attached to it. The principal was untouchable until I turned 35, only providing modest monthly disbursements prior. Privately held due to my grandfather's will, I opted to sustain myself through personal earnings and conceal the trust fund. Observing too many people act peculiar around wealth, I desired genuine relationships dependent on who I was rather than what I owned. Subsequently, I worked in construction, maintained a simple lifestyle, and kept it a secret from everyone, including Olivia. 2 years into our relationship, she proposed marriage. I was overjoyed. However, as our engagement progressed for 6 months, things began to feel odd. It was then that Olivia suggested a prenuptial agreement, which initially seemed reasonable. In comparison to my earnings at the time, she had greater wealth and resources. Her determination to safeguard what she had accumulated resonated with me. I expressed no objections to signing a reasonable prenuptial agreement. But when she presented me with the actual document 2 months later, fair was not a term I'd associate with it. The prenup in question spanned 47 pages, containing what appeared to be an extremely lopsided legal contract. As per this agreement, Olivia would maintain sole ownership of everything she possessed at the time and any assets she acquired during our marriage. On the other hand, anything I brought into the marriage or earned during it would be classed as joint property, subject to division. The terms worsened. In the event of a divorce, I wouldn't have a claim to alimony, her retirement funds, or the growth of her assets. However, she would be entitled to half of everything I owned or earned, including any future inheritance or family money. Conversely, I would be required to forfeit half of my possessions and earnings in the event of a divorce. The final remark sent a chill down my spine. How could she possess information about my potential inheritance unless she had delved into my past? When I inquired about the terms, Olivia grew defensive. She asserted that I should be grateful for her willingness to marry someone within my income range, and that the prenuptial agreement was merely to safeguard her from gold diggers. The irony wasn't misplaced on me, but I remained silent. I informed her that I required time to review it with my legal advisor. That's when she presented the first significant warning sign. She stated there wasn't time for that. The document needed to be signed within the week, and if I truly loved her, I'd trust her judgment because she was more knowledgeable about such matters than I was. I am not one to yield to coercion in legal matters, so I took the prenuptial agreement to a family attorney regardless. His response was swift and stern. He labeled it unconscionable and stated that no competent lawyer would recommend their client to sign it. He also noted something intriguing. Multiple passages indicated knowledge of assets I allegedly lacked. One evening, I chose to investigate my suspicions. I informed Olivia that my lawyer had reservations regarding the prenuptial agreement and recommended we adjust it for fairness. Her response confirmed my theories. She erupted, shouting about my ingratitude, her humbling herself to marry me, and my lack of appreciation for someone like her associating with someone like me. A statement she made still sends shivers down my spine. David, let's be candid. You're a construction worker who'll never surpass $60,000 yearly. I, on the other hand, am destined for greater things, far beyond what you could ever achieve alone. This prenuptial agreement safeguards us from making a mistake we may later regret, specifically the error of perceiving this as a love-based union rather than a compatible one. Intrigued, I probed for clarification, and she explained that she meant the oversight of viewing our relationship as founded in love instead of compatibility. That evening, my attention shifted towards aspects I had previously overlooked due to love blindness, such as Olivia's reluctance to spend time at my apartment, her consistent insistence on staying at hers, her comments about upgrading various aspects of my life, her jokes about my working-class job in front of her friends, and most alarmingly, her rummaging through my mail 2 weeks later. I arrived home unexpectedly from work one day only to find Olivia in my apartment, an unusual sight since she claimed to dislike it. She was standing by the kitchen counter with a stack of my mail in hand, including investment statements I'd forgotten were still there. Upon questioning her, she initially feigned ignorance, then claimed she was merely attempting to arrange my bills. However, I discovered she had opened several envelopes, including one from my investment advisor revealing a quarterly statement showing approximately $40,000 in an account accumulated from distributions of my trust fund over time. At that moment, I understood the prenuptial agreement was not to protect her assets, but rather to gain access to mine. Instead of immediately accusing her, I chose to conduct a personal investigation. I engaged a private investigator, which was financially feasible due to the trust fund she wasn't aware of. Within 3 weeks, his findings eradicated any remaining emotions for this woman. Firstly, it was revealed that Olivia had delved deeply into my family history. She had accessed public records concerning my grandfather's business, death notices about his estate, and even approached a genealogy service to trace our financial lineage. She was indeed aware of the trust fund. For 8 months, she was unfaithful to me with her former boyfriend Marcus, who worked in finance. Evidence such as phone records, hotel bills, and numerous texts and calls revealed their affair. However, it was the third discovery that proved decisive. Through Marcus's professional connections, they had devised a scheme to tap into my trust fund after our marriage. The prenuptial agreement was crafted to establish a legal basis that any funds received would be marital property, and they had researched methods to possibly contest the trust's confidentiality clauses in court. In essence, my fiancée and her lover intended to wed me for my wealth while she remained unfaithful. I had amassed sufficient evidence, but I sought a flawless resolution. So, I formulated a plan. 1. I contacted my trust administrator to gather comprehensive documentation detailing not just the $3.2 million in the trust, but also my real estate acquisitions funded by distributions over the past 5 years, which included 3 rental properties that saw substantial growth. This elevated my total net worth to approximately $4.8 million. 2. I arranged a meeting with Olivia and informed her I was ready to sign the prenuptial agreement. However, I insisted on having our respective lawyers present to avoid any potential future complications. The meeting took place at Olivia's lawyer's office on a Friday afternoon. I arrived with my attorney and a folder containing relevant documents. Olivia was accompanied by her lawyer, and surprisingly, Marcus, whom she identified as a friend knowledgeable in financial planning. During the presentation explaining why the prenup was essential and advantageous for both parties, they went through their reasons. In the face of her feigned affection, Olivia expressed undying love for me and a desire to safeguard our impending future. Marcus, unwaveringly, maintained his supportive friend persona. Upon conclusion of their speech, I initiated by stating it was essential we were transparent about our assets and objectives. My first document, displayed on the table, disclosed my net worth totaling $4.8 million. The room fell into an unexpected quietness. Olivia's complexion shifted from pale to crimson and back again. Her attorney appeared bewildered, while Marcus merely fixated on the documents as if they might attack. As you can observe, I pointed out, the asset protection in this prenuptial agreement may not function as intended. In turn, I presented a second batch of evidence, photographs from a private investigator depicting Olivia and Marcus together, hotel bills, phone records, and more. 1. I believe it's important for Marcus to understand that the woman he's been intimate with was planning a sham marriage for financial gain, and Olivia should be aware that her affair partner was participating in a fraudulent scheme. The outcome was strikingly straightforward. Marcus broke down, asserting it was all a misunderstanding. Trying to depart, I advised him that certain proof suggested he had been part of the intricate financial deceit. Her legal representative promptly withdrew from the case, citing misleading information provided. My attorney casually clarified that marrying for money is a series of possible offenses in our jurisdiction, but I'm not interested in prosecution. I merely want them removed from my life. Here's what transpired next. Olivia, you'll return my apartment key. Gather your belongings and cease any communication with me permanently, I instructed them. Marcus, you'll keep your distance from me and my possessions, as any encounter would lead me to submit these documents to the district attorney. If you're seen near me or my property, consequences will follow. I fixed my gaze on Olivia one last time. To clarify, our wedding is terminated. I'll manage the cancellation and bear the associated costs. This could be viewed as a minor price to pay for discovering your true nature before making the greatest mistake of my life, an error I made 3 years ago. In due course, I encountered another individual, Claire, a teacher who was aware of my financial predicament from the outset, but fell in love with me after we met at a coffee shop, mistakenly believing I was merely a construction worker. We've been married for 8 months now, and she continues to pay for our dates occasionally, as she desires our relationship to be equal, not dependent. It was later discovered that Marcus and Olivia parted ways within half a year after their scheme unraveled. Initially, the absence of our combined finances exposed their lack of genuine affection towards each other. This episode underlined the fact that authentic love is resilient to truth about wealth, status, or any matter. It's only false relationships that necessitate deceit to endure. I persist in construction management because it brings me joy, having embarked on self-entrepreneurship recently. My trust fund continues to expand, serving as a future resource. A valuable lesson was gleaned. Marriage to the wrong person can be costly, regardless of one's financial means. Be wary if someone urges you to sign legal documents without careful examination, or if your partner seems more captivated by potential than present. Heed your instincts. Authentic love does not demand one-sided agreements. If this narrative strikes a chord with you, click the like button and subscribe for additional authentic tales of deception, vengeance, and fairness. Don't forget to share your location in the comments below, as I value insights from viewers worldwide. The truth unveils itself eventually. At times, it requires endurance to let it emerge.